orientation, so you probably remember him from that. This summer, Tanya and I got a chance to go visit him at his office up in Salt Lake at the church office building. Had a fun visit with him there and found out he's learning Spanish, right? And he and Tanya talked while I sat there and pretended like I knew what they were saying, but I didn't. And then we also found out he's an avid gardener as well, and has some good tips on what to grow and how to make it work. And so he's fun. And so he lives in Pleasant Grove, right? He's living in Pleasant Grove? Yeah. And he is going to, I liked in his bio that he's the Director of College Relations for the Salt Lake chapter of the Society of Human Resource Management. And he's involved in getting the next generation interested in HR. And so he's going to present to us something that you're preparing for that role, right? So let's welcome Mark.
Always good to be here with fellow MPA students. Come and speak at my alma mater. I rode the train here today and got off the bus. Right there at the law building. And there's a bridge that comes across the building. And it reminded me of a YouTube video I saw the other day. Some of you have probably seen it. But I thought about that video and crossing that bridge, and it made me think of interns and kind of innovation of intern stuff. So I'm going to just show this to you. Anybody seen this? Students on ice? Okay, just a couple of them. I think of interns when I think of this. Many of us, we get in industry and in a role position, and there's red tape administration and different things, and sometimes we act a lot with caution. One thing I really like about students is their innovation and ability to see something others might see as dangerous and have some fun with it. I don't think the sound's going to, I'm not hooked up to the sound, but we'll... log me in there. So while that's coming up, I'm just going to share the objectives that I have, what I hope to accomplish with you guys today. Very excited to work with students. Oh, here we are. Okay. Let's start. You guys remember that day? About a month ago? Anybody there on the bridge? You guys look at that? This is the best one right here. Anyway, I thought it was kind of fun, and honestly, it does remind me of students because you're innovative, creative, and you see something that others may kind of steer away from and say, you know, I'm going to have fun with this. I'm going to make something of it. So what I like to... What I'd like to accomplish with you guys today are these three things. Help each of you, I talked to Tanya before, and it sounds like most of you, over 95% of you do a summer internship, so that's fantastic. So we'll spend a little less time on the importance, the value of the internship, and more on how you can make your internship effective. How many of you, by show of hands, have an internship already lined up this summer? Okay, so maybe a quarter of you. That's fantastic. Even if you have an internship lined up, I hope the tools I'm going to share with you today will still be helpful as you consider what you're going to do with that. Practical advice and experience. I've had some great experiences as an intern myself, and now on the side of the professional, having some interns come and work with me at the church, and hopefully some fun practical experiences there. Here's where we're going to go today. You guys have all had communications. It's not Dr. Baker anymore. I've heard there's 2 cents then. You remember his OABC? Take you through that. Opening, closing, opening agenda. Value of an internship, so I'd like to talk about first. Planning for an internship and doing the research go together. How to select the right internship for you. And then working your plan once you've got the internship and staying connected with people that you meet. Okay, my little little friend here, Mater, on the bottom. If we get to a slide and you see Mater pop up there, remind me if I don't say there's something we're going to refer to. You got a handout with some documents on it, and those documents are ones we'll turn to when Mater shows up. So there's a lot of, we're all familiar with paid and non-paid internships. Both add value, and it's important, I think, just to emphasize getting an internship and doing it, and even maybe doing several of them. Internships are quickly becoming one of the most important experiences in every college student's career. It really is difficult to graduate and expect to get a job without first having to prove yourself in an internship. As the global economy becomes more global, competition for good jobs is going to continue to increase. As you guys are probably aware, with technology, it's not just the people here in your class and the people in your local area, but people from all across the world really are your competition. This is a kind of a fun, interesting, how many of you are familiar with NACE, or heard of NACE? It's the National Association of Colleges and Employers, and when I was an MPA student, for me, the most significant project I worked on was a field studies class. Has anyone done a field studies or heard of those? I guess you wouldn't have done them. It's usually second year. Some of you have done one. Anybody involved in those right now? I would invite you to at least look into it because it's a very meaningful opportunity to put your the experience you're gaining now and apply it to a real project. Organizations pay the university to come in and have students do what they would pay other professionals to do at a discounted rate, but it can be a very meaningful project. And with internships, there's a difference. I thought it's an interesting. The reason I brought up NACE is because that's the organization that the project I worked on was with Hollywood Video, and now defunct Hollywood Video. Obviously, with technology, Redbox and Amazon, different venues for video and stuff in our homes. That market, that just was not value add. But the project we worked on was extremely meaningful, I felt, for us. And they are a member of NACE, so they have this relationship with BYU, and really intact understanding and involved with the timeline for recruiting with interns and stuff. And this study shows, you probably already looked at it, so I'm just going to highlight the important point there that I think is there's really a big gap between those that get an internship and get a job offer and those that don't. Paid internships tend to lead to job offers with a lot of organizations. This was some research that was shown on the University of Texas Austin's communications department website. I thought it was really interesting as well. We think of, in school, what's the value of my experience versus the GPA and getting good grades and that kind of thing. Well, this research, I think, shows the difference there between those. Adding those two together, what is that, 35% of type of degree in GPA? That's most important to a third of companies, but almost half would say experience is more important. Just a personal story with that, where I'm working at the church now, we had a person come in as the church HR attorney a couple years ago, and the first thing she did is she came into a meeting with the HR professionals, proceeded to tell us about graduating cum laude and all these different things about how smart she was, and it turned a lot of people off just the way she portrayed herself, and she really lacked a lot of the interpersonal skills and stuff that were really important, and quite frankly, she didn't last that long with the organization. So I think it just goes to show, it's one example of how experience and what you can perform in a job really do mean a little bit more than your grades. So find that balance. And I think that's what this program does so well, is helps us to integrate the experience, practical experience that we get with the things that we're learning. But you really got to find that balance. Any comments, thoughts at this point?
Yeah.
So we talk about experience a lot. How do you, I guess, get around that when you don't have the experience? You know, this is, an internship is obviously one thing, but a lot of internships, a lot of the skill sets you get during it are pretty superficial because they don't have a lot of time to train you. You know, so you're doing a couple field studies and things during that internship. So how do you, when 50% of them want experience, but most of us have had probably 5 or 6 part-time jobs getting through undergrad and now, you know, being in school, how do you kind of balance that with not having the experience? So a lot of us are relying upon the type of degree and hopefully a good GPA.
That's a great question, and I think you hit on it with those part-time jobs and an internship really are experience that employers do value. You know, maybe it's only 3 months or a couple months of an internship, but as a company that I interviewed with, I tried to focus on is what's at your core. You know, what with a position, a person that's recruiting, they're trying to align what's needed in the job with what you can bring to the table and a match. And so if you can highlight accomplishments and things that you've had, experiences in an internship that can meet those needs, that's really valued. And I think the time isn't so much as important as them being able to see what you're made of, and your internship experience can give you some of those experiences. We'll talk a little bit, that's a great question. We'll talk some more about what you can do to make that. It is important to as you seek out an internship, to find that balance of which one is going to give you projects that you can begin and complete and be able to demonstrate, you know, the skills of following through and seeing a project through and being able to say, here's what I contributed and here's what the outcome was with it. So if it's an internship that seems like it's going to have things that aren't really meaningful and end-to-end, front-to-end kind of things, you may want to consider another option. If one doesn't know which port to one which is selling, no one is favorable. I think there's a lot of value in that statement, right? So, you know, as a graduate student, I came into an MP program and wasn't sure exactly what emphasis I wanted to do. Looked at city management, looking at HR, but you know, pretty quickly you want to define where you want to go. And that being said, an internship is a great way to really decide if where you're going is the right direction. As a graduate student, I did an internship with, it was a paid internship with BYU's Human Resource Development Department, and I thought training would be a lot of fun. Love to do that. As I get into it, I realized I don't really like that much to do that full time. I like to do it as a component of the job, but doing that just as the full-time thing, I realized I wouldn't enjoy that. And I was so grateful to have that experience and learn that as an intern, where it wasn't my career, but I just moved my family somewhere to, you know, long term. So hopefully that is something you learn with your internships as well. It's as much about what you don't want to do as what you do want to do. Those experiences. University of Texas Austin had something I really liked called VIPs. What are your values, interests, personality, and skills? And you got a handout. And what time do we go to Tony? 45? Okay. We may come back to these. I think we'll take time to read through these right now. Maybe just a couple of them. Where you find that one? It's titled Plan My Personnel VIP Questions. These are some great questions that I encourage you to take time to answer for yourself. How many of you done a decision criteria matrix? You guys done that? And quantitative analysis? Next semester?
No, we've already
First
done
semester?
that.
Anybody do one of those?
Like a pairwise?
What's that?
A pairwise? Is that what you said? What did you call it?
Decision criteria matrix?
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah,
One?
we did.
Just everybody. Same thing.
Okay.
We might
Same
have.
thing.
You guys are
Same
okay.
difference. Yeah.
What, you would do one of those for deciding what internship to do? Yeah? For those of you that have one, can you share an experience, anybody? Did it influence your decision?
Yeah, it helped me realize what I really wanted and what were the consequences that came with each alternative.
Okay. Any surprises? Anything that came out that maybe was unexpected?
Maybe that I didn't care to work for a big name nonprofit. I think I cared more about the mission.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. So if you haven't done one of those and you're still looking for an internship, take some time and go through those questions and incorporate some of those into your matrix, and it can help you to make a decision. President Eyring's dad, famous scientist, and I really love this quote. Could I have, would you read that quote for us?
Find something else to do that you think about all the times that you enjoy so much that when you don't have to think about it, that's what you think about.
I've thought a lot about that over the years, since a couple of years ago when he shared that, and it really means a lot. You think about the free time you have. What does he really enjoy doing in projects and jobs that you've had? What are the things you migrate to when you're given some free time or flexibility within your job? What are the things that you think about and try and incorporate into the role? And those can really help lead you to things you're going to really find success in. Well, President Eyring started out as an educator and later became the Commissioner of Church Education for all of the BYUs and seminaries and institutes, which is where I work. And, so he, going through physics and whatever his dad was at the time that he asked this question, when he asked that question, he realized, gosh, that's not what I'd like to do. I really enjoy teaching. I really enjoy being in front of people. And obviously it made a huge difference in his life. So there's another document in your handouts there that is the college recruiting timeline. This is one that we actually put together for Hollywood Video when we did this project. And this is you can tell a lot about an organization and the value of the internship, the kind of experience you're going to have by how committed they are to the internship program. Do they have a timeline? Do they have an organized program? Do they have a mentor supervisor that's over the entire program? Do they have mentors for you? There's a lot of questions, and there's another document we'll look at in a little bit that can help you ask some of those questions in the interview process to find out if they're an organization that's committed to the interns, and if they have more. You got two organizations, and position A is your first pick, and position B is your second. But one's got a really well-organized internship program. You have to balance those things, but it makes a huge difference if they're already on board, if they're integrated with the college, because that shows their commitment to bringing interns on for hiring purposes. This isn't just we want to have an intern for this one little project. We're committed to bringing interns in because we feel like interns are our best hiring candidates. We're going to make the best candidates. And as you can see, I just highlighted a couple of the things on this one for Hollywood Video at the time. They start pretty early. They're in December, they get with the school, and by January they're pretty much doing the interview process and deciding who they're gonna hire. Any comments, thoughts on that from you leaders on internships and getting out early, finding those opportunities?
Absolutely. It's very good. Not missing out on opportunities that would be just the right fit.
So you can again use those tools and stuff that you have that you guys are learning in school here to help you make that decision. But ask some of those questions yourself. What is it I'm looking for? Is it meaningful work? Do I want to make money to support me through school? Is it a certain location I want to be in? And those decisions are going to be important as you decide on an internship. career-related experience, opportunity to travel, a startup organization. As you start to plan, I put things into 3 categories of things that you can do to help you. You got to plan and utilize the resources around you. You've got people resources. You got a career services center. I talked to Tanya's your career services director here to help you great experiences, opportunities to travel, find out about businesses in different parts of the United States and what they're doing. You got professionals in the field. Network like crazy with alumni. Use me, with the church as a resource there. If there's internship opportunities or things you're looking at. Do you know other second years that have had an internship experience in the field that you're if you're in not-for-profit? Hopefully you've done a lot of that, but talk to those other students and find out what their experiences have been. Any comment? Anybody that's had that experience? We're talking to a second year, a professional that's really giving you a good sense for what you wanted to do in the internship, or even your direction in school, in the program.
I certainly did with, we have a healthcare executive lecture series that we're doing last semester, and had the opportunity to talk to a lot of possible CEOs, group, that sort of a thing, and found out that I always knew I wanted to go finance, but I didn't know government, what level of government, or open up the world of healthcare for me, and I found out that that's actually a lot more interesting to me than government. So.
Excellent. So do you have an internship lined up in that field you're looking?
I'm still looking. I have a couple departments with IHC that I'm working with to try and get an internship, and then interviews here a little bit, hopefully, for Clear Valley.
I've got a contact in that field as well. That's in a big grad, so we'll talk after.
Awesome, thanks.
About that. There's another document. It's titled Research Veteran Intern Interview Questions. These are just some questions I put together that I thought would be helpful. If I was talking to another student that's been and done a successful internship, the questions you might ask them. These are questions that will help you find out what kind of a program does the organization have. They're well organized, they're committed to you as an intern, and help you determine if it's going to be a program that's committed to your success with that. Geography is an important thing to consider. And I was talking to a friend the other day that graduated. He said, when I was considering where to take my first job, I was looking at the companies and the stuff that I was interested in there, but I didn't really think about what else the geography meant. For example, if I take a position in a small city, Page, Arizona or something, that might be great. If I love the company and the experience and want to stay there for a long time, that's great. But I may have limited myself because there's not a lot else in that area. So you want to consider too when you pick a location for an internship, are there other industries around there that I could move to in a couple years as a promotional thing or just for a change. In addition to that, an internship often does turn into a job offer. And so if I'm going to go somewhere for an internship and anticipate I might get a job offer, is that somewhere I can live long term, for a couple years? Is that somewhere my family wants to relocate to? Those are some things that you may want to consider as well. There's a lot of resources that are available to you to find good internships. You've got a lot right here on campus with your Career Services Center. You've got Student Member Resources Club. Any of you members of clubs that have to do with business or entrepreneurship or anything? Okay. Any comments on those? Find those helpful? Somebody share something. Clubs. What's one value add that you found from being a member of a club?
I'm in the Women's Management Club, it's called Women in Management. So I've gone to lots of events, and it's nice because I'm meeting other women who are in the MBA program. But also, for example, they're always doing things like last night they partner with a different program and we went to Qualtrics and they were talking to us about like how to dress for an interview, but then they also had Qualtrics talk about what they're looking for in candidates. It was just really helpful, and then, I mean, they're hiring so many people that, you know, it was an opportunity. I met one of the founders of Qualtrics, and like we're friends on LinkedIn now, and he asked for my resume. So, I mean, that just happened last night at a little event that I went to. And you make out of these clubs, you know, you get the experience you make, right? It's like I could have gone to that event and not talked to him, but I want an internship really bad. So I went and talked to him afterward, and everyone else was eating, and I was talking to him. So it's like you get out of it what you want. But I really like that club in particular for myself.
It's a great
Lots of
example.
opportunities.
It's hard. You guys are busy. It was 10 years ago that I graduated from the program, and it feels like yesterday. And I remember how busy, crazy busy I was in the program to do extracurricular stuff. Sometimes it's like I just can't do it. That's really that balance of, your professors may hate me, but again, the grades versus the experiences. I'm going to lean. Yeah. Well, and that's why I said.
They tell us
But-
grades don't matter.
And then you apply for jobs, and
The
then you
happy
see your
graduation
transcripts.
day.
So where's the happy medium?
Even on the first job, I don't ever remember any questions about the grades I got. Because I wanted to know what experiences I've had and what kind of fit it felt like I was going to do for the organization. This, by the way, if any of you are interested in human resources and you're not a member of SHRM, shame on you. You need to sign up and become a member. I did that as a student here with Haraki, the local chapter, and again, there's other professional organizations outside of HR and your other areas of emphasis that you ought to be involved in if it's another one. But that is a great resource for our students. As the Director of College Relations, our students get involved there. We've got a mentor program going on where they link up. We've got 12 students linked up with professionals that meet at least once a month, and even if it's by phone, and just have talk about what the students want to talk about and in the field of human resources. And they found a lot of value in that program. Greatest danger for most of us is most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but too low and we reach it. Set high goals, you guys. Stretch yourselves and get out there and have experiences. You know, if you're set on having that paid internship and it's just not working out, take one that's not, or do both. While I was working at BYU, part-time, being paid for that, I was also at IHC just doing it was like 5 hours a week, like getting some experience in the HR department there with a different role with HR generalists. So diversify yourselves and get out and do some different things with that. One other thing Tanya and I were talking about this morning is, that I think is just really important, is if you're in not-for-profit or human resources or finance, whatever it is, don't be too narrowly focused on, I've got to have this internship experience with this not-for-profit organization or even a not-for-profit organization. What you need to do is focus on what is it that those jobs I'm looking for in not-for-profit are what skills and outcomes are they looking for, and can I get that somewhere else with another organization as well? Because again, the skills are really transferable. I think one big evidence of that was a couple years ago when BYU introduced the Bachelor's of General Studies. I mean, come on. There's no specific emphasis. But, more and more employers are looking for what you can bring to a team environment. If it's an individual contributor type of role, what are the skill sets that you have to align to what they're looking for? And a lot of that's transferable across disciplines and things. So with research, this stage of the process is really important. It's something that all of us have to do, and take your time up front to make sure you do it right now and get the kind of experience that you need. Out-research your competition, because there's a lot out there. There's a study I'm going to share. There's an alumni group at BYU that has a professional in a presentation. I was listening to this last night, and he was talking about some information on jobs. And right now in America, there's about 12 million people looking for work, and there's about 3 people for every open position. He talked about some things that you can do to kind of strategically place yourself above some of that competition. Part of that's doing your research, knowing about the company and stuff as you go in. So the 4 of you I met with this morning, I asked you all the same question. We were doing some mock interviews, and there's some things that went along with that you guys have got a handout on this, but this is what I would say as an HR professional is one of the most important questions that a recruiter can ask a person, and then drilling down on this very thing. What single project or task would you consider the most significant accomplishment in your career? And then drilling down on that thing. That's one of those kind of tricky questions of, what's your greatest weakness and some of these other things. I think you can build out into this, but when I recruit, and others I've seen that I think really do it effectively, is focused on this kind of thing of what are the significant things you feel you've done, and then the last question is to really drill down on that and find out how you've done that. So there's a handout. It's called Select, number 1 interview question. And we'll hit on a couple of these. What I encourage you to do is, and those of you that I interviewed and talked to, this is what I share with them, but as you prepare for an interview, and you guys have all been told this, it's not new, but prepare questions and write them down. Write down the questions that you feel like you've got great experiences with. What I encourage you to do on this is take this document, look at these bullets, and pick some that you feel you would like to answer. Or if you were interviewing someone else, that's something I'd ask somebody else. Write those down and then write an answer to it. Pick a project, something that when you talk about it, or someone asks you about it, you get really excited to share it. So this is something I'm really proud of, and felt like I was able to see something from beginning to end, and feel like I had a significant contribution in. Take a look at those questions, write down a couple you would ask somebody, answer them yourself related to that project, and I guarantee that those will be significant things that you'll bring up and will get your people that are interviewing you really excited about you and give them a good sense for what you can bring to the table.
Out of curiosity on that, obviously it's probably the best if you have something that's closely related to what you're going to be doing at the job. But if you have something that's just a really neat accomplishment in general, maybe happen outside of a career setting, but would probably seem more impressive, which would you choose? More like a small career thing that's kind of related to the job, or a better outside job?
What do you guys say? I would agree with that. Try and work in both ends, but one over the other. I mean, not knowing what the two are, depends on the circumstance, but I would say go with the experience and try and make that experience transferable to the job that you're applying for. Because if you're excited about it and it highlights the things that you're really good at, that's the most important thing. And frankly, if those things that you're sharing that you're really good at in that experience, they don't want that, or that doesn't seem like a good fit for them, you're not going to be happy either. So highlight the things that you've done well with, that you're good at, and if that's something that fits into the job and the things that they're looking for, you're both going to be happy and have a good experience with it. Good question. Get the kind of experience that you really need. Employers are focused on getting the details and just what we've been talking about, comparing candidate, what you've accomplished to what they're looking for, what they're needing to be accomplished in that position. There's another document in your packet there. this one's called Work Your Plan Intern Success. I'm gonna highlight a couple of these, throughout the presentation, but the one I wanna focus on now, well, let me give you some background. This guy that I asked this question to presented a couple months ago at a seminar I went to, and I was just really impressed with what he did. He works for a company in Salt Lake called Northrop Grumman Corporation. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but they do missile systems and different things with that, with military. And they don't have any kind of an internship program there. And he came in as a director of change management and realized we've got these engineers that are really close to retirement. A lot of them are getting up there in age. They've got a lot of great experience, but what are we going to do to fill the pipeline? And it takes a lot of on the hands, on the job experience with that as well. So he proposed going from nothing to a 50 internship program, a 50 internship program, and was successful. Just launched that last year. And this highlights some of the things I asked him these questions in bold, and then these are his responses. But what I like, the one that says, what mistakes did some make that may have resulted in some not getting hired full time? And I mentioned above, it came down to demonstrating desire to be there and performing. I think this goes to your point. If these are things you're excited about and you're good at, you're going to go the extra mile, and they're going to see that. And then as statement there, I call it showing up every day and killing it. They didn't do that. That's what makes the difference in interns being hired. Showing up every day and killing it. I mean, don't look at it as a summer job. Look at it as a career. And that we've all heard, make your first good impression. I say keep the first good impression you made, throughout your experience as an intern. I think some people put all this effort into, getting through the door, getting the interview, getting the job, and then they kind of slack off a little bit. We had an intern recently that came from this program, and she had some great skills. She was fantastic with the experiences that she brought, and we gave her some projects with training. She used Crucial Conversations, some of you've heard of that, and training a performance management system all throughout the Pacific Islands and some in Mexico with schools. And she was able to have a beginning to end awesome project. And she demonstrates great skills. She was much better teacher than I am in front of class and with people. So just gave her some guidelines, guidance, and let her run with it. She did fantastic. On the other hand, she did some things that kind of made it difficult for the team. Had there been a position to offer, after I'm not sure that she would have been offered a position because of some of the little things. She came in, did a great job, had her presented herself professionally as she got the offer, but over time just kind of slacked off a little bit in appearance and stuff. She come to work, hair kind of messed up, and just looked like she just rolled out of bed. And those things make a difference. They make an impression on people. I really valued her contributions and things, but the impression she left with other people with some of those things weren't quite what she probably would have wanted. So selecting a position, gosh, hopefully you guys, hopefully we had that lecture right of having options. We've got 2 or 3 internships in our back pocket, and it's just a matter of making a decision. Sometimes it's not always like that, but it is important to do if you've done your planning and your research to find just the right fit for you, or at least something you feel you're interested in, you're not quite sure, gosh, go and have that experience and learn that you want to do something different. I had a friend when I was here as an undergrad who was in education, and she went through her whole 2 years and then did the student teaching experience at the end. Found out she hated it. I mean, how unfortunate. Wouldn't it have been nice for her to be able to have gone in and done even some job shadows in the classroom and a little bit of teaching experience, which she hadn't done until, instead of spending 2 years and then finding out this isn't for me. Now, my niece, another thing, she really liked teaching, but she found out she's really susceptible to sickness and stuff. And being around all these kindergartners, she was sick like every other week, so she couldn't do it, and she ended up having to change her plans too. So there's a lot of things you want to consider when you're looking at an internship and really a job. If you want to learn to swim, just jump in and try it. Test the water. I mean, that's where you're going to learn. That's where you're going to find out what you like, what you don't like, and you're going to have. How many of you have before coming to the MPA program really hadn't done a lot of team work, team interaction like you do in this program? I was one of those, and that was when I came to this program. It was like a new experience to. I'd always had jobs where it's like individual contributor stuff, and not really expected to work like as close as you guys do in the team environment. And that was just a cool learning for me. There's a lot of things like that you gain from experience in an internship. Social recruiting has become an essential HR recruiting tool, hasn't it? I'm sure you guys see that, hear that, talking to people. A new survey by JobBite, this was done just last year. Social recruiting platform finds that 92% of U.S. companies use social networks and media to find talent, as in 2012. And that was up from 78% just a couple years before that. So it's huge. And we'll talk here in a minute about how you can make a difference with your social media presence online. So this was kind of funny. I was in a SHRM, the HR professional organization. We were at a SHRM luncheon the other day, and we had this guy presenting. He helps companies recruit, or he helps people find jobs. And companies nowadays can go in. There's analytical tools, Google Analytics and some others. They can go in. They can actually find out what search terms you're using to find jobs. Not just, okay, here's John Doe and he's applied for this position, but what did he do to find, what are the search terms he used to find this position? And he shared one that just blew me away. He said the funniest one that I've seen recently was this one on a job candidate. Tell me if this would be a person you'd want to interview, even if their paper, their resume and stuff looks stellar. I mean, seriously, I mean, is that the kind of person that you're going to want to bring on board for an interview and stuff? So when you're out there searching for jobs, the search terms and stuff you use, I mean, people are, with technology now, we know that employers and stuff it's a lot more personal. They get into our personal lives and kind of find out a lot more about us than it used to be. But just be careful in even the terms that you're using when you search for a job. So this presentation I was listening to last night just has some amazing information on social media and making an impression, how to portray yourself through social media. His name was Joshua Wallum. He's an alumni here at BYU, and his topic was sharing 7 mistakes job seekers make using social media. He talked about the 12 million job seekers, the three candidates really for every one job, and then he did some research on how many people use the internet. Not everybody uses the internet in America. I mean, we probably think everyone does as college students and stuff because it's so part of our lives. But his research found only 78% of Americans use the internet, and of those 78%, 69% use social media. So if you do the statistics with that, that really translates to, of the 3 job candidates for every job, there's only 2 that are using social media. So you can really improve your chances of making a good impression for an internship or a job by really stepping it up with your social media presence. Say with social media, what's the core message? This is a question to ask yourself. What's the core message you want the hiring manager to know about you? So if you're on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is just growing, it's like wildfire, 200 million or so on LinkedIn now. Facebook, a billion, they're huge, but LinkedIn is really, in the meetings that I sit in with HR professionals who are going to hire you guys, that's their preferred, they're not going to give their Facebook out to people. That's their friend site. LinkedIn is your professional site.
You said that you can really make an impression on people by polishing up your social presence, but what is the benefit in employers, from an employer's perspective, of you having a strong social presence? Is it them just getting a better impression of you, or having a good way to get to know you, or do they see value in you having a social presence when you're actually working for them?
That's a really great question. The latter part about having it while you're working for them, I'm not sure, but let me answer the first part, and that is what value does it add, or what difference does it make if I've got a good online presence? Employers, again, being in HR, there are certain things that you can't, that are considered discriminatory, right? You guys know that in a hiring decision. But it's not going to stop employers from going in and looking. They don't have to say that that's why they didn't hire you, and they're not going to. But some aren't going to hire someone because of what they saw on Facebook or something. Just the friends and the comments and that kind of thing. I mean, I sat with one of my coworkers in seminaries and institutes, and they want to know. Yeah, they want to go to Facebook and see what people are saying, or if it's consistent. It's a consistent message with what they're portraying in their resume. And I think that's the thing to answer there. Is it consistent with what they're portraying themselves in this resume?
Is LinkedIn also an opportunity to give a second first impression besides your resume? Because I know that a lot of people are looking at my LinkedIn when I've applied for jobs. So they go and look at that as well. And then my follow-up question to that is it better to keep your photo private so that people can't see what you look like in terms of discrimination? Because sometimes you just have your photo public because it's like, whatever, this is what I look like. But at the same time, to maybe have, they're like, she's ugly, pretty, I shouldn't hire her, but we're not going to tell her that,
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because they say pretty people get hired more, right? So
Joshua Waldman
make it private.
On this thing last night, he
Or
did
make
just
your
kind of
picture really pretty.
I show up, they're like,
Photoshop
that's
that.
not her. Our picture.
That might work, Get in the door and then they see who you really are and they want to hire you anyway, right?
I'd hire you,
So this guy, Joshua Waldman, did a little impromptu experiment last night with us, and he had up on the screen, he had some profiles, LinkedIn profiles of people, and he said, on average, recruiters spend, and there's a group called the Ladders back in New York that's done some research. They took 50 recruiters, and with retinal scanning, they could determine where their eyes were on the paper and how long they took. And they take an average of 3 seconds on a resume. I mean, recruiters today are being asked, maybe it was years ago, we've got to hire 10 people, now it's 20 because of efficiencies. One recruiter is expected to do so much more, and so they're really going to be scanning quickly over your resumes. 3 seconds a resume is the average. So he was making that point to say how important the social media presence is, because people get to know you before they meet you that way, and it's another way for them to have you in their mind and stuff like that with your resume. So he had us go through. So I'm getting to the first question. He had us go through this little exercise, and we looked at these profiles, and then people respond and say, who'd you hire? And he gave us 5 seconds per person, so he had all this extra time. And the one that was hired was this had a nice professional picture, and then he had a couple things I'm going to point out here in just a second on his profile. But yeah, so that one had a picture. Overall, yeah, it could go either way, but I would say get a good professional picture up there, and then a couple things I'll highlight here in a second.
As far as a Facebook presence, I mostly make mine private, just to keep other people from seeing it that aren't professionals. Do you recommend ever making that public when you're applying or whatever? Do they care if everything's private on Facebook, or?
That's a good question. What are you hiding? The good graduate school answer, right? It depends. It depends on whether you're going to again, is it gonna give a good impression or bad?
I have a question about when you say quality of your social presence and not just the quantity. So, I mean, you can have, you can just add random people and have a lot of friends. But when you say quality, is that not posting pictures that you wouldn't want other people to see, or is it the quality of your actual connections that you have with these people?
I would say the first one, quality of your picture and your profile, what you're saying there. Again, I'll have one here in a minute, but take them where you want them to go. Provide the information, lead them to, if it's LinkedIn or whatever, provide them a place to go so they're not out searching for, your name just randomly. If you provide them the LinkedIn profile, maybe that's where they'll look and not worry about the other. Again, they may, but I would say that the first part is the important part.
I actually stopped posting a lot of the political postings that you used to do, just to avoid any.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea from a recruiting standpoint.
Oh, Lauren is first, but then I have a follow-up question. So what were you saying?
Oh, I think it was just going back to the Facebook thing. I just have a friend who's in computers and he has like lots of networks, and it's actually pretty easy, even if your account is private, to have professionals look at it. So it really doesn't matter. It's pretty easy to go in. Supposedly, I don't know. It's not my thing though.
I'm sure that's probably accurate. So.
Yeah, I don't have anything to hide. I just don't want you to think I do.
So let's say I have a LinkedIn profile and the other, so like out of the three, like me and Joe, we have LinkedIn profiles and this guy doesn't. They spend 3 seconds on our resume. How much time do they spend on LinkedIn?
It's not going to be much more than that.
But we've got 6 senses versus this dude who doesn't have one, so we're already ahead of the game? Is that what you're saying? Like, is that the point of
Yeah.
LinkedIn? Okay.
Yeah, it is. Other comments? So, Leslie?
On my LinkedIn, just because I've had managers looking at mine and I was kind of going over it yesterday, and I say that I'm married in it, and my Facebook picture is me and Patrick, the other, and so I'm just wondering, Facebook, that's my friend, so I'm going to keep it, but LinkedIn, would you say that we could take that off?
You saying that you're married on there?
Photoshop it.
Let me read you what Joshua said to do. I mean, this is what he does. He's helped people find jobs and really tuck into social media with that. Here's what he said to do. Example, you want a picture, a headline, and profile summary, right? And here's the question he said I would ask. He goes, I do this myself as I'm doing it. I am a fill in the blank, specializing in fill in the blank, and then the last part is what do you do? And the focus there is what problem you solve. In your job, your career, or as a student, focus on some project work you've done. What problem do you solve? And answer that question. But be concise in those things. So I am a blank, specializing in blank, and then what do you do? Focusing on problem solving. So.
Can you give us an example of that? Like, what would you put, or what would you say?
Mine's, and I have to go and look at it exactly, but I am a human resource professional, working as a director of college relations, and I focus on human interaction, helping solve. That's a good question. You got me on the spot. That's something I listened to that last night.
I can read
Now it
it.
got me thinking. I need to go. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, yeah, I looked him up.
But I listened to that and I thought I need to go back and apply that to myself and see, do I fit the profile that we talked about there.
Sorry, and I think the main reason why those ones are always hard for me is because what if you are not sure? And that's the whole point, is that you're looking into a few different jobs, maybe in a certain field, trying to find what, do you know what I'm saying? So that is part of the problem, is that you don't know what you're or what, you know what I'm saying? So it's like.
Yeah, again, I think what I would suggest there, just off the cuff, is going back to what I talked about earlier, thinking about the projects you've had in jobs or even in service internship experiences that were really meaningful to you. And focus again, I think the problem-solving thing is there's a lot to be said, as I interviewed with these 4 earlier, is they're talking to me about certain things. There were other things, not what they were saying or the specific project that they did, that wasn't meaningful to me. What was meaningful was what I heard that wasn't being said about it. So focus on those things that you do really well, and the things that you feel are your core strengths, and that's going to highlight things that align to what recruiters are looking for.
Your summary follows it exactly, just so you know.
Does it?
Yeah, way to go. It's like exactly what you just told us to do.
I'd hire you.
You should read it.
Good, do you want me to read it out loud?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is what it says under summary. HR professional with an interest in helping others find opportunities and success in the field of human resources. As the Director of College Relations for Salt Lake SHRM, I have a particular interest in helping young professionals and students find their niche.
Did I spell that right?
Niche. Some people say niche or something. Niche.
So your comment earlier, what I was saying there is, again, provide them where you want them to go. They're going to go other places too, but again, they don't have a lot of time. So if you provide them an easy access to a social media platform, they're going to go. At least they're going to go there. You know, they may look at Facebook too, but provide them something. And again, if you guys follow those guidelines, if the statistics hold true, 3 job candidates for every job out there right now, only 2 of them are using social media, and you can one-up your competition with a good profile. I think really the thing with social media is it's not that it's going to make you stand out as this great person above something else, but they're really looking to see, a weakness, really, on social media. So you go to that and find, oh my gosh, seriously? This isn't what was portrayed here. So that consistency, again, with what you're portraying in your resume and stuff is important there. As you go through the selection process too, and we'll get to that in a second. So in the selection process, interviewing, some questions you would want to consider after you've had an interview. It can help you really determine. You got your decision criteria matrix, right? And you've got a chance now to sit back and say, okay, what is this really going to meet my needs? These are some great questions I think to ask. How will internship provide me with a great experience within my specific area of interest? To your point over here, are they just looking for this work that they want to pass off to somebody and they don't want to do themselves? Or are they really interested in me as an intern making a contribution and helping me grow and have, ideally you want to have things that you can say, I did this, again, from beginning to end, those projects, because you can sum up and tie up all the attributes that make you within that project, hopefully. And those are the things that are much easier to sell. So this was another study by NACE. This is for undergrads, but I think a lot of it's applicable to us as graduate students as well. These are the top 5 things that are important for an intern in an internship, and they are in order of importance according to their study. Having work experience related to their major, I think that's kind of a no-brainer. Well-defined projects, that's what I've been trying to emphasize. Well-defined projects that have a beginning and end, and hopefully something that you had a significant role in with that. Working closely with senior leaders in the organization, understanding the culture of the company. I've got a document in here that can help you with this. This is value of an internship. Actually, no, that's not one. But I'm going to turn there for a second. If you'll turn there with me to that value of an internship, what I learned. This student is just a phenomenal student up at the U. He was the student chapter president for SHRM that I worked with last year, and had a successful experience with a Fortune 500 company this last summer. Was offered a job, and now he's got that on the table. He may not want to go there. He's looking at other options, but at least he's got that in his back pocket. And I asked him these 7 or so questions, and these are some of his responses. We'll just focus on a couple of them. the one there that says what were a couple of things you were able to apply from the classroom. This is HR, I'm working in labor relations, use my negotiation class just about every day. Excel, public speaking, listening, critical thinking skills are all very important. So a lot of application that he was able to do. Any surprises? I was surprised at the thickness of my skin sometimes. The environment was the most raw environment I've ever been in. I was able not to let unprofessionalism and unkind behavior get to me. A lot of great things learned, I think, from other interns and their experiences with that. And I'd encourage you to, take a look at what he's learned here, and as you go through an internship experience, build it as you're going. Ask questions. What do I want to accomplish with this as you're planning? And keep a log, keep a journal of the things that you're learning, because those experiences, and the best self-help book ever written is one you write yourself, right? And your internship will really help you with that, and finding out what you like, don't like, and what you learn and want to apply to a job. So there's still a lot of people that don't really think about, the thank you card thing, but it does make a big difference for employers, recruiters. It's just that again, if nothing else, it's that one more opportunity to put your name in front of them and remind them that you're still interested in the position. And some research on that showed nearly 8% of job seekers who send thank you notes send them to each person they meet, which is the correct course of action. So there's a lot of people that still do it, but don't miss that opportunity. Make sure that you send that thank you note.
So our teacher had this little discussion about whether you should send an email or a written note. And I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, it was kind of like implicit, but I don't know if you.
That's a great question. This research here addressed that very thing, and what they said is culture counts. Well, 85% of respondents say they always send thank you notes via email. It's important to consider the individual and company culture before you send messages. So, a company that's, I don't know what company would be, Google or something, maybe an email or some other message through a social media platform would be better than a written thank you card. So the answer to that is know the culture of the company before you decide how to do it.
I wonder if timing also has anything to do with those issues. It seems to me that if you follow up an email, it would be more appropriate if you were to follow up with a day or two. And if you don't follow up that quickly, you may want to simply, send. Just because of the message it might send to a recruiter. Because an email a week later might be more like they're wanting to know if they're still in the running. I don't know, that's just a thought.
I think it's a good thought. I think it's a good point. And if you can get information or permit their permission, for LinkedIn profile or whatever, it might be a great way to send it as well. So make those connections that way. Any other comments, thoughts on that? So now you got the internship, right? You can breathe that big sigh of relief, and I've got the internship lined up and gonna go have a great experience this summer. I really like this quote. I found a site with Bruce Lee quotes, and I was like, man, these are amazing. I mean, he's talking about, maybe Bruce Lee is, but he had some amazing quotes, and so I've got several in here. He's talking about something else, physical stuff there, but I think those three things are very, very important. If you can remember those three things as you go through your internship and write them down, you're gonna have some great resources. These things we've been talking about, that most important question: what's the most significant contribution you made in your career? Build the answers to that question through your internship experience this summer. So, talked a little bit about this before, but gosh, make that first good impression and then maintain that first good impression by the simple things. Be on time. I think it's a real important one. Again, describing that intern experience tonight we had with one. Know your daily energy levels and try and schedule. Find out if it's flexible on the time that you can do the work for the internship. And try and build those around the time that you're most effective. I grew up milking a cowboy hand for 2 years and got up at 4:30 in the morning, so I tell my wife that's why I'm a morning person. When she wonders why I don't want to sleep in, I'm like, I just, kind of built that way. But, so I like mornings, I'm effective in the morning. If you're not, maybe that's when they want you and stuff, but try and plan the most critical work in the internship experience around the time when you have the most energy levels. I think that's really important. It definitely shows. Making mistakes is expected, with all of us. As an intern, the expectation is that you make more mistakes, and that's okay. But don't be afraid to ask questions. My wife was telling me a story about choir practice, right? So she's in the choir, and they go to choir practice, and people are being kind of timid. And the choir director's his statement is, make your mistakes here, sing loud, sing proud. Now's the time to do it. That's what I say about the internship. Just get out there and put your stamp on it. Bring what's uniquely yours to the experience and make the most of it. You might trip over yourself a time or two, but that's okay. If you're humble and willing to accept criticism and be willing to roll with the punches, people are going to appreciate that about you. So we're running short on time here. Just going back to that one intern success NGC. Just going to turn on one thing there that he talked about. This is the third one down. What made the difference for those that were selected with interns? We were screening for 3 things after they made the GPA requirement: energy and excitement in their manner, love for the chosen field, demonstration of desire to work in our business, location, and company, and attitude and view of life. The logic was that they all had similar education and success in school. And that's really true. Because you guys, those that I interviewed, this is how when you interview candidates for a job too. If you're sitting there in front of a recruiter with an interview, they feel like you've got the skills and background necessary to do the job, or you wouldn't be there. They've sifted through 200 applicants, narrowed it down to 5, and you're one of those. Guarantee they feel like you've already got what it takes in terms of the skill set and the background, and now they're just looking for that fit. So those things that he said, they're just really important. The energy level, they committed to it. They seem like they really want to be here. This location, everything too. That's an important thing to consider too with people that are expatriates. You guys know what an expatriate is? It's an organization has employees here in the U.S. and they send them out to Europe or wherever as a U.S. employee. But one of the biggest failures with expatriates is not the expatriate themselves, but the wife and the family. They just didn't really want to be there. The culture changes too hard. So when you pick a place, it's not just about you. If you're married, you got a family, you better be talking to your spouse and making sure that you're all committed to that experience. Someone want to look up that scripture? What we're talking here? Psalm 77:11. Okay, reflection. Take time. You said this. I'm not going to spend too much more time on that, but take time to reflect. Write down the experiences you're having, what's going well, what you think you're contributing, and what you do differently. We won't take any time on this, but I'll just refer to this selection 1 company filtering questions. The numbers on these, those are tied to those 5 things that were most important for the undergraduate interns in order of importance. And I just highlighted some that I thought these questions aligned with those 5 things. So I'd encourage you to take that list as you go to interview and highlight again some of these questions that you think you'd like to ask in the interview experience to find out their commitment level to you as an intern in the internship program. Well, we need to end, right? So we will we'll go some of these. Just last thing I'll end on is a success story of a friend of mine. I'm friends with her on LinkedIn, that's a SHRM member. She was telling me about an experience she had just recently with her job. She was a professional now with SHRM back east. And she did an internship, had a great experience. They offered her a job, but she elected to go somewhere else. And she maintained a relationship with this person. And 12 years later, she ended up moving back with her husband to the area where this job had been offered initially. And the girl that she had an internship with found out she was coming back and said, just wanted her. So they created a position where they had something but tweaked it a little bit. And 12 years later, because she stayed connected, and from that internship experience, she was able to get a job that much later. And I'm going to send you guys some additional resources. I'll do that later, with just some websites and links that are helpful and also in finding internships, but also in questions and stuff to help you determine what kind of internship experience you want. Thanks for letting me come and present to you guys. It's been a pleasure, and I really hope the best for you guys and your experience, your pursuits, and please feel free to contact me. I've got some cards I'll have available and stuff. So thanks.